to my audience. Welcome to Women Leaders Walk the Talk. I'm your host and your leadership enthusiast, Christin Webb, because I love all things leadership. And when you think about every aspect of your life, you are leading. Whether you are in a formal capacity or an informal capacity. Somebody was just telling their child, giving their child some direction, right? We're leading all the time. Our little animal people, our friends, our family, our communities, when we're at work, we are leading all the time. And our successes and our failures, they're usually contingent upon how effective we are as being leaders. And I personally believe that if we focus more on developing and fine-tuning our leadership skills, we would see more successes than our failures in almost every aspect of our life. For those who may be joining me for the first time, and I promise you it will not be your last, this platform was created for the sole purpose of amplifying the voices of women leaders across a multitude of industries. Women Leaders Walk the Talk is the programming under my company called the Greater Leadership Series, which is a development and consulting agency. And since creating the company, I found it important to ensure that there was an initiative created to focus on women and leadership, because it's so important. Why? Because there should always be the inclusion of all voices in and outside of every organization, community, every home. And this platform helps to strengthen the voices in those spaces that may experience muted or low volume sometimes. And I want to help change that. So I'm excited about this evening. You all do not get to see the backstage prepping, but tonight's panelists will bring the energy. I absolutely already know it. And they're going to bring the energy and the insight that you are looking for. Let me stop right there. This is my 12 month doing this, right? So this is my anniversary night. Yes, let's do rounds of applause. I was going to start singing, is that Tony? It's my anniversary. I was going to start.
Yes.
Tony. I started to sing that, but I'm not gonna bother y'all with that tonight. But this is my anniversary, and I wanted to make sure it was kind of light and fun. And I'm really, really excited to have you ladies on with me tonight. Quick disclaimer, I want to make sure I do a little housekeeping. The views and opinions of myself and the panelists are strictly just that. Our views and opinions do not reflect those of our respective organizations that we don't own. So I want to make sure I always put that out there. But tonight we're going to talk about lifestyle and community. But before I go any further, I want to make sure I introduce these powerhouses that are on the call with me tonight. And I hope they own that, because you all are powerhouses. We have with us Desiree Lyles Wallace with Mocha Divas, Kimberly Thomas with KP Fusion, and Quaneshia Farris with According to Q. So again, hello, ladies, and welcome. If you want to tell the audience hello.
Hello.
Joining
us.
Awesome. So like I was saying, tonight I want to talk about lifestyle and community. And the reason I wanted to talk about lifestyle, because obviously that's what y'all are really into. Like I told you, I've been stalking you all. I've been watching you all for a long time. And you all have helped shape some of my lifestyle, right? And when I think about lifestyle, it's basically us creating a space where we protect ourselves. It's our physical and our mental and our emotional. It's the ideal way we want to live. You know, sometimes it's accessories, you know, it's what we're wearing. It's where we're staying. It's where we're traveling. It's the spaces we choose to be in. It's the people we choose to be around, but they all together kind of make up our lifestyle. And so I want to talk about that tonight, because I have experts on me tonight. That's what I always do. I bring experts on, but I also want to talk about community, because while you all share about lifestyle often, you all are building community. You all are creating the safe spaces amongst yourselves, as well as with your followers and those of us who do have an opportunity to engage with you. You're creating those spaces that are healthy, that kind of help move us forward, because those communities should be encouraging, they should be empowering, they should be holding us accountable. And it's important to have all of that when you are a female leader. And why? Because it's not easy. We don't get to do it alone. You know, you can try and do it alone if you want to, okay? But the community is key. It helps keep us grounded and rooted. And so I wanted to make sure my experts tonight got a chance to touch on that as well. So I'm going to jump right in. The first question I always like to ask, and you may or may not have seen this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. One word what is your description of leadership if you had to use one word? And I'll give you a phrase. Some people like to say phrases, but if you had to describe leadership in one word, what would it be?
For me, purposeful.
Like it. Q?
I think my word would be intention.
All right, and Desiree?
Oh, I like those. Bold, boldness, bold.
And they all go together. What y'all said, all three of them go together, right? Yeah. I told y'all gonna play on each other tonight, but I love that purposeful intention and boldness. And the reason I always ask that question, because that usually is what's going to resonate. It's going to be the thread throughout the entire conversation, because usually that's the core of who you are, or it's the first thing that you kind of rely on when you think about leadership. So thank you for sharing that. I look forward to, before I go any further, I want to know why you all chose that. Yeah. So why don't you give us a little background? Why purposeful, why intention, and why bold?
For me, with purposeful, I just feel like there should be a reason behind everything that you do, because it just helps you move the needle further, whether it's in your own personal life or there are things that you're doing within the community. Obviously, you'll always do something that's just for fun, but if there is purpose behind why you do certain things, especially when it comes into leadership, I just feel like you can just have a lot more success with it, because you know your why. And that's something that, like, whenever I have conversations with people, even within the blogging community, I always am like, what's your why? Because anytime you get lost, or anytime you forget, where you're going or what you're doing, and you're trying to get back to that place, if you get back to your why and what your purpose is, it gives you a lot more clarity.
Absolutely. I love that. Knowing your why is so key. If you don't know it, you're clueless. You don't have your roadmap. You're just kind of, moving aimlessly. And so I definitely can appreciate that. Yeah. With purpose. I like that. What about you, Q?
So I think my answer with intention kind of plays off of Kim's purpose. I think whenever you are over something, and leaders, you don't necessarily have to be over something to be a leader, but most leaders are at the forefront. And whenever you are at the forefront of something, you have a clear goal, you have clear intentions. And in that, you also have to be intentional about how you communicate, about how you relay the goal to the people who you're serving, and just having that kind of mindset is like everything is clear and concise, and here is the plan, and being able to communicate that with the people around you is really important. And it does go back to the why of why we're doing this, why are we here, what is our goal that we want to accomplish.
Yeah, one of my favorite words for leadership is always communication, right? Even outside of leadership, if you don't have communication, the breakdown exists, period. Like, the failure is not far away often. Right. So definitely I can appreciate communication. So there
and people would be, I feel like, when you're intentional about these things, and people will grow with you, they'll stay with you, they will, and that'll make you a more effective leader, because they begin to trust you, and those types of relationships begin to develop. And all of that comes, I feel like it falls under being intentional as a leader, because you're understanding what that role is and what that means.
Ooh, that was a lot. I love that though. I love it. It really was. In a nutshell, it really was. How about you, Desiree?
So I love purpose, having purpose and intentionality. I talk about intentionality a lot, but I chose bold, or boldness, and I couple being bold and courageous, because as leaders, you have to be willing to step out there or go where no one else will go. And I take it a step further. As women in leadership, we really have to be courageous, because not a day goes by, or I would say even hours, without being forced to either be bold or courageous, because we're always challenged even more than our male counterparts. So yeah, that's why I chose boldness. But again, I couple that with being courageous as well.
They definitely go together. And I won't get into my personal life, but being bold as a female leader, or being courageous, even more so. Being courageous, meaning that you have the conviction and you're okay with whatever the outcome is based on what you're sharing and what you're communicating and how you're leading, is so key. And it can be intimidating, as sometimes for some, to be a female and to be in those spaces and speak with the volume that you want to speak, the way you want to speak it, with your why, and communicate it the way you want to. So definitely being courageous. Yeah, you kind of stung me right there. That touched me. Very, very, very important. So I always want to know, because a lot of times when I talk about formal versus informal leadership, a lot of people don't see themselves as leader. And of course, earlier on, I said we are always leading, whether we're moms, community advocates, wherever we are, we're always leading. Have you always felt like you were leading? And if you haven't, what was that transition, if you do today?
Well, I've always been a little bossy.
Okay.
I think that's because I'm so short.
We can second that.
Ma'am, no. But it's something that has been natural to me since I was a child. I've never had a problem speaking up, being bold, or doing anything like that. Made mistakes along the way, so it was never done with perfection. But I have always been someone that's like, okay, if you don't know if nobody knows who's going to do what, I'll do it. And I don't have a problem with doing it. And then in that process, and even in the process of working for myself, and because I have to wear so many hats with the different clients that I have, to where I have to, if I don't take the position or the role of going, okay, well, since they're not going to do this, let me go ahead and do this, and this, so that we can make sure that we get it done. Because I'm very much a let's get it done person. Like, we can talk about it so much, but at a certain point, you have to actually do something, and then you just tweak it along the way. So that's something that I have always done.
Awesome. And I love that, because most people don't recognize that in themselves. So to be able to identify it early on makes it easier to build off of. You know, a lot of us don't realize the leadership and those qualities in us until later on, and then we're trying to catch up in a sense, you know. So definitely, I always can appreciate those who identified early on. What about you, Desiree?
So I feel like I've always tried to be in charge of something since I was a little girl as well. And I believe it's because I have an older brother. And also my mom was very much one who said, you can go and do whatever you desire to do. And she pushed me because I was, and still am, an introvert. I was more shy as a child. However, I was always telling somebody what to do, and always thought I knew what I was talking about. So I can tell you what to do because I know what I'm talking about. And that just evolved over time, and, you know, ended up in different spaces where I was able to lead, or, as Kim mentioned, took the lead when, you know, others were taking a back seat. So yeah, I believe it was innate.
All right, so we got 2 innate bosses on the call. What we look? Are we 3 for 3, Q?
Well, I mean, I'm a Leo, so
Leo.
so there's that, and then I'm the oldest of 3 children, and the only girl. So in many instances, I had to sort of be a leader in that capacity. And then you get to school, and then your personality develops. And then I became a teacher, so I had to lead a classroom of children. And then, you know, and then I became a mother, and there's leadership there. And when I'm now in the clinic and I have to make decisions for patients, there's leadership there. And I have people, you know, medical assistants and that work under me. So there is a degree of leadership in all aspects of my life. And I feel like it just has always been there. Even when I was, you know, in elementary school, and I would take charge and do things just like Kim said, and not always wanting to, but when needed, it just kind of happened.
Good deal. Good deal. I love the transparency, ladies. And the bosses that's on the call with me tonight. I should have known better. So I want us to talk about lifestyle. So we're going to switch a little bit. What is lifestyle to you, and why is managing it important? And you can put it in the perspective of, you know, being a female leader. So what is lifestyle to you?
For me, lifestyle is literally the way you live. And it, I mean, it's, I don't think that my definition is fancy or, you know, any more detail than that. It's the way you live and how you put all aspects of your life together. So that's work and home, and how you hang out with your girlfriends, and how you interact with your family. And all of these things do require a certain level of leadership depending on you and your personality. And I think that it's important because when we find ourselves not balancing these areas, things are out of whack, and we're not living our best lives. We're not our best selves because mentally we're exhausted, or physically we're not taking care of ourselves. And so all of that, I feel like, is a part of what lifestyle encompasses. It's literally the way that you live in all areas.
Absolutely. I agree. How about you, Kim?
To piggyback off of what she said, it's just how you choose to live your life. It's what are the priorities that you have for yourself, not necessarily based on societal norms, but based on what it is that you want, because you only have one life. You know, life isn't a dress rehearsal. You know, we have all these quotes out there that talk about that, but I think sometimes people don't think on a smaller level. Like you said, it doesn't have to be anything that's fancy or over the top. Like, that's cool if you can get to that place, but what are you doing in your day-to-day to cultivate the life that you want for yourself? And so that's what lifestyle is to me.
I love it. Desiree, I love it.
Don't know that I can add much to that. It's certainly, you know, how you move, whether it's, you know, your professional life, your personal life, relationships, you know, what have you. And I guess one thing I will add, for me, it's ensuring that I don't have to turn into somebody totally different. You know, it's being able to live authentically, you know, in all of those spaces. You know, of course, I act differently at work than I would, you know, hanging out with girlfriends, but not too different. You know, like, I want to show up as me and not like, who is that? I don't even know, you know that person. So I believe that that's the important piece to me.
Yeah.
And anyway, I'm too old for, you know, trying to remember how I'm supposed to be in, you know, each space. So
you want to be represented the same everywhere you are, right? I don't want to talk to Q and be like, do you know Desiree? And she does. And she's like, that's not the Desiree. No. I mean, you don't want to do that. You want to represent yourself the same way, whatever that extension of yourself is in that particular space. Yeah.
And to bounce off her, and I can say, all of us, the people that who you see online, if you follow us across social media or you read our blogs, we're the exact same person in real life. Obviously, depending on the setting, you may have to, you know, tweak a few things, be a little bit more refined, or we may be in a relaxed setting where you may get a little bit more rawness. But we're still the same person. We still show up the same, no matter what space that we're in. And being on social media and being within that realm, you see a lot of people actually don't do that. They create personas. Sometimes I understand why, because you know, they may have a specific goal, they want to have a certain level of privacy, but a lot of times there are some people who they do not know how to show up authentically as themselves. And to me, that just makes life so much more harder. It's like, just be yourself, be authentic. You're cool as who you are. Like, some people may love it, some people may not, but still be you. And if you can proudly be yourself, it just makes living life just so much more richer to me.
Because we shouldn't have to figure out who we're gonna be depending on the space, right?
Right.
Okay,
Like,
I
That's what
get
I mean. I'm slow to try to figure that out.
But
right.
think about how-
Like, I have fun with like clothing. Like, I'm like, ooh, today this is the role that I'm going for when I put this outfit on. But like personality wise, it should be the same.
Right.
It's exhausting. And I think
Mm.
at a certain point, it starts to mess with the mental part of who a person is when you cannot truly show up for yourself and show up as yourself in the different spaces. And you choose to live your life one way over here, but one way over here and one way over here. Eventually, it gets tiring,
Right.
which then goes into the, I'm sorry, I'm having some distractions.
It's all good. It's not, but I mean, but what I'm hearing is
which then goes into you not being your best self.
Right.
In general. And when you're not being your best self, can you truly say you're living your best life?
Right. You're not taking care of yourself. That's what I heard.
Right.
I mean, you know, and you talked about it earlier when you talk about lifestyle. It is all of that, you know, your mental is it specifically. So I wanted to ask real quick, I want some tips from you all because I said y'all are experts, right? So y'all came with some tips and you don't even know it. I need a lifestyle hack. I know you got a lifestyle hack. Like, what's your go-to, like, for that balance, for making sure that all the pieces are coming together, all those different aspects and corners of your life when they need to meet in the middle? What's your lifestyle hack?
I'd say for me, my life is everybody's life is divided into categories, and I try to touch each category every day in some capacity, some more than others. But if I feel like if at some point I talk to someone in my family, I talk to a friend, I handle business with my clients, I handle business with my blogging stuff, my mental health, food, going to the gym, like all those little categories that I have for my life and how our lives are broken up. I feel like if we keep it in rotation and just try to touch something, it doesn't have to be huge. It can be something, you know, super small, even like say health wise, making sure that you drink at least 8 ounces of water a day, because you know you need to drink water because if you're dehydrated, that can affect your skin, it can affect your thought process, it can affect your health. I mean, Q can speak on that. So I think that if you try to find a way to put your hands on even just a little bit, all the different categories in your life that you prioritize, then that'll help you stay on track and your life can be as balanced as possible.
And that's interesting because I wouldn't have thought about touching every aspect of my life every day. But then the piece that you pulled it to, that one word that was so key was prioritizing it, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it goes back to the balance, right? And being able to take care. But I never would have thought about, touching every piece. So I like that strategy. Thank you for that hack, Kim. Hack number 1, y'all gonna leave with stuff to do. Okay, y'all got stuff. My audience, y'all have things to take with you. What about you, Desiree or Q?
So I would say for me, I schedule everything. And if it's not scheduled, it doesn't happen. And I haven't always been like this, but the last several years, even down to scheduling workouts, scheduling time where I can just be, is so important, because I don't know if you all are experiencing the same thing, but these days pass by so fast, and before we know it, it's time to go to bed and prepare for the next day. And then we are at October, whatever today is, mid-October, and it's like,
right, and it's almost Christmas.
I'm gonna say yes, Christmas.
We just said Happy New Year. It's just like, what? So I have to schedule everything, and it works. It allows me to have that balance that you mentioned, but it also helps me to do the things that I desire to do.
Yeah.
So here's a follow-up for you, Desiree. What do you do if there's something that you didn't foresee or you didn't plan? Like, what's your maneuver? How do you matrix that out? I almost did the matrix.
And so I don't get so caught up like, oh my gosh, life is falling apart because this didn't happen. But it goes back to that intentionality too. Okay. So I'm intentional about, the things that I need to do and the things that I want to do. And so the chances are greater that it will happen if I schedule it more so than if I don't. So if it doesn't happen like that, I don't fall apart because life happens. But at least I was intending to do it.
And I agree, as a co-scheduler, I agree there's more control that you get to have, right? And there's going to be some things uncontrollable, but you at least have a bit more control and you can not respond so reactively when those things happen. So I like that. Come on with my third hack, Q.
And so my hack is actually a combination of those two, but I break down mine into the categories of spiritual, physical, mental, financial, and social throughout a week. So when I break down those categories, I don't necessarily have to hit them every day, but physically, I know I'm a workout junkie. So what days this week am I going to work out? So I know I'm going to work out Tuesday and Thursday. And most women, honestly, because we are wives and mothers and we work and we have, responsibilities, I don't have time to work out. No, you do. You just have to schedule it. And one hack within a hack is that I'm packing my clothes and I'm taking them to work with me. I change before I leave work. I go to the gym and then I come home. Because if I come home, it's not going to get done. Mm-hmm. So knowing what those days are and I can plan them out for my week. Eating wise, I'm going to cook on Sunday and I may cook 3 or 4 meats and I may cook several different vegetables so that we can have things to eat over the next few days, because that takes a little bit off of my plate on a daily basis. And I'm off on Wednesdays, so Wednesdays will be a repeat of that. And Saturday is every man for himself and the good Lord for us all. So, but it has to fit in my life. And then financially, what's my goal? Do I want to try to make sure that I save this much, or I'm not going to eat out this much? And spiritually, I have devotions that I'll do every day. And I'm going to make sure I, make Bible study online, or I make sure that I'm going to go to church, or, and kind of just keeping it categorized. Because another thing I think we fall victim to is trying to do 50 things in one day. There is not enough time for us to have these long to-do lists on a daily basis. And we think we have to have an S on our chest, and you don't. And you're going to forever be frustrated and forever be stressed out because you're trying to get all of this stuff done. And I picked 5 things that I must get done, like home-wise. This is what I want to get done today. This is what, and when I get done with those things, if there are 2 dishes in the sink, guess what? Those 2 dishes are going to be in the sink.
I love it.
I'm going to sit down and I'm going to kind of just rest and relax and figure out whatever my guilty pleasure is and indulge in that for a minute, because that's also a part of the self-care and the mental part of it, that I need to make sure that I'm okay enough to continue to perform as a mom, as a wife, as a boss, as a leader.
So y'all got me, I gotta come up with a whole new schedule. Cause I'm that one, like, man, I gotta make a whole bag and put it in my car, and then I gotta figure out how to change it work so I can go exercise. But I'm here and I need to put it on my calendar. That's what Desiree told me. I hear I need to go ahead and get my bag packed so I can really prioritize, because that's what Kim told me to do, to make sure that I'm getting done what's important. And I love not to make excuses, because it's so easy to do. And we do it subconsciously sometimes. So it's being intentional about not making excuses and prioritizing and just executing and making it do what it do, as they say.
And I'll also say, make time for rest and for play.
Amen.
We work so hard and we do so much and we wear so many hats. And a lot of us are doing things for not just ourselves. We may have a spouse, kids, extended family members that we take care of. We're running businesses, all those types of things. And I feel like sometimes we can work so much because we have all these goals that we want to achieve, which is normal. But I also think that we need to make time to actually rest, because you can't pour from an empty cup. And you also need to play. You need to take time out to enjoy the fruits of all of your labor. I'll say COVID, with everything that happened last year, I was someone that was always go, 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 because of the type of work that I do. And it forced me to slow down. And if that forced me to shift some things around in my life that I hadn't that had been a priority, but had been on the back burner, to finally check some of those things off my list. But it also made me slow down, appreciate being able to rest, to do nothing some days, and to also spend more time with my friends, because I don't know about y'all, but when I'm around my girlfriends, I just feel so much more energized and ready to just, conquer the world or do whatever, just because we take that time out to pour into each other. And even if it's just for like an hour or 30 minutes or something like that, but making time to spend with people who make you happy. Let me say that, whether it's family, friends, somebody that you're dating, but making those people a priority in your life and spending time with them to help balance out all of the other work and responsibilities that you have in your life, that will actually help you to be a little bit more intentional and purposeful with how you do all the other things in your life, because you want to make sure, okay, I need to leave this open for them. So let me make sure I handle this. And it's kind of like a domino effect. And then it goes from a domino to a circle and a ball, and it starts to go. And you get in this really, really good cycle where life becomes really, really sweet.
And that's a good visual. I love that visual you had. Before I go on to my next question, I have a question specifically for Desiree. Desiree, do you put rest on your schedule?
Yes.
Okay.
I talk about my crazy lazy days. I live for crazy lazy days where, I don't do anything, not even put on real clothes. So yes, I've
never thought about. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was about to say, Kim mentioned, the pandemic, which we're still in a pandemic, but that time of being still was so good. When I tell you, I was like, yes. I mean, because we do find ourselves going and doing and being, and at what point did we have in our lives before now where everybody was still, like, you didn't get invites to anything and didn't feel pressured to do anything, whether it was work or social or what have you? I loved that time. I mean, there were some other things that went along with that weren't so great, but that period of stillness. But even pre-pandemic, I lived for crazy lazy days, and even if it's not a crazy lazy day, I said post-pandemic, I never wanted a full schedule again. It's like, no is a complete sentence. And yes, I rest more than people think.
So y'all have actually challenged me to, like, I'm going to seriously on my phone, because I live by my phone for my calendar, right? But I'm going to plug in rest. Like, I don't do that. I plug in pick up baby girl so we can go to the game. I even plug in, go to the grocery store. I do all those things, and rest just kind of happens, right? But I need to be intentional about it. Thank you again for that cue.
Well, I wanted to challenge the audience and see if you would comment, when was the last time you did something for yourself?
Ooh.
I have a lot of patients who come in, and we're stressed as women because we are so multifaceted and fabulous. And we kind of, we're nurturing, and we tend to give all of ourselves to other people. And I literally will freeze them by just asking, what is the last thing you've done for yourself? And some people cannot tell me that. So how long, for those ladies that are watching, how long has it been since you've done something for yourself? And when you think of that, most, spa, or it doesn't even have to be anything outside of your home. My guilty pleasure is Young and the Restless. If I just want to sit there and watch the ones that I have recorded, that is what I'm doing for myself. Or if the kids are in bed and you want to run yourself a bubble bath and just kind of be, it doesn't even require a lot of money sometimes to do something for yourself. Read a book that you've been wanting to read, that kind of thing. I think that is really important in today's society, especially because we do extend ourselves quite a bit. But ask yourself, when was the last time you did something for yourself?
I like that. And we got some answers in the chat. I got one 3 months ago when I went to the hair salon. Oh, thank you, Cazetta. That hair salon, that is some me time. That is a good getaway spot. And then we got 1 week when Joy said when she went to get a pedicure and took care of herself. And I love a good pedicure too. Those times. My me time, super inexpensive and free. Last night, I purposely locked my door. And I tell my daughter, good night. And I lock my door, not that she's going to come and burst in, but it's like me making sure I create that additional protection that I'm having my me time. Even if it's me just scrolling on Facebook or pulling up Netflix or, you know, meditating, whatever it is that I'm trying to do to kind of get re-energized, as you said, Kim, for the next day. So that's my free. So I can say yesterday. But again, it is intentional. I have to make sure that I'm doing it on purpose.
And the intention with that also goes along with communicating with who you need to communicate with. So husbands or significant others or whatever, you know what, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. Can you take them and give me like 2 hours? We don't want to do that a lot. I don't really know why we don't want to do that, but there's this stigma to asking for help or asking for a little bit of extra time. And, you know, I think we just kind of have to get to the point where you realize if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't pour from an empty cup, like Kim said, and you know, you're going to overextend and you're going to start to feel it. It's going to manifest physically. It's going to manifest mentally. I feel like, you know, your spirit, your mental, and your physical are all connected. And when one of them is off, you're going to feel that somewhere. So you got to ask yourself, what have you done? And do those things on a regular basis, even if it requires you to say, hey, can I get a little help with this?
I love it. I love it. And Carmion, I want to make sure I get her. She said today she her time with lunch with a friend and a pedicure. We had 2 pedicures on the chat. So it sounds like it may be a sign I may need to go.
Mine was yesterday. I went and got some pedicures.
Me too. Mine was yesterday.
Yes.
I need to get on y'all's schedule. That's what it is. I need to get on that rotation.
It's every other week for me. That is my me time. Every other week between standing appointments, don't call me. I'm not going to answer because that is my time.
Oh my God.
Which say you're going to call anyway. That's what so y'all talk about community. Like we're going to switch and kind of move into community a little bit. And y'all talked on it, you know, just in some of your life hacks that you gave. You talked about girlfriends. You talked about, you know, those people that are in the spaces that you love, that you want to be around, that make you feel good. So as a female leader, how have you been able to find that? Like, right? I feel like in recent years, community has become like this buzzword, you know, just like self-care has, you know, it's become a popular thing for us to pay attention to. And so when I hear the word, that's all cool and dandy. You're telling me that's what I need to do. But how do I get there? How do I find that community? How have you all found that community amongst your girlfriends or your circles? Yeah.
Well, I think we all found each other through blogging, through the blogging community and photography community. And we had our own individual communities that we were building that actually led us to each other. And when we did that and discovered, hey, you know, I really like her. We can really hang out. This is a real person. And that, you know, I enjoy hanging around. It's pretty easy. I think what prevents that from happening is a lot of women just have their guards up.
That's a word right there, Q. It really is. Have you always understood that you needed community? Like you all found it in your, you know, with your small group, but have you always realized that's what you needed? Or when did you first realize that community was needed for you?
So for me, sorry.
No, go ahead.
For me, I first learned when I was around 22 years old. I used to actually work in healthcare management, and I don't have a degree. I did not finish college, went there, started working, got caught up in that, carry on. But while I was working, I knew that networking was a really big thing. And so in order for me to be able to move up in the company, I actually got to know some of the managers and people that worked in different departments that I was interested in. So over the course of 6 years, I initially came in as a clerk and just helping, you know, sending faxes, being an assistant and things like that. But because I knew how to develop relationships with people, some people I even was a nanny for, in the process of getting to know them, I got to know the departments that they were over. And so when I learned how certain roles, like what their responsibilities were, what they needed to know, things like that, that gave me a leg up to where when a position would open up, you know, most companies, they want to hire internally. Mm-hmm. And so I would apply for things because it's like, hey, they already know who I am. I'm familiar with what it is. They're going to, whoever they hire, they're going to have to train anyway. But because I've now built that relationship with them, they'll be more inclined to give me a chance at that position. And I didn't get everything that I applied for, but in that 6 years, by the time that I left, I had moved from being a clerk to being over contracting, because I moved that quickly and I learned, and I was a hard worker and knew what I needed to do. And then so, you know, fast forward to now, with me working for myself, everybody that I work with, we could, like Q said, we connected through blogging, but all of us had our guards down for some reason. It may not be like that for everybody, but that's always been my case. Everybody that I worked with, we've been able to become fast friends to where we work together, but we also play together. So, you know, that if you're working with me, if you're running late, like, child, I had to pick up my daughter, this happened or something like that, I'm very flexible in that sense because I get it. We're human, things happen. But having that type of relationship with everybody that I work with allowed us to actually develop a friendship to where we now have a community, and then all of us start to cross over and things like that, to where when we all see each other, it's like, what's up? Like, that's my girl, hey. And then we all have our own smaller sub relationships with each other as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I love it. I love it. Desiree?
Okay.
Or Q?
I would say for me, it started really early. I don't have sisters, and so my cousins were like sister cousins. And then, you know, as I got to junior high school and high school, girlfriends became really, really important because, you know, my mom reminded me, I'm not your little friend. So I had to build community with those little friends that I had. And so girlfriends have been critical for me. And through Mocha Divas, just finding a common thread. You know, I founded a book club 12 years ago, and it was born out of, I like to read, and I wonder if there's some other ladies who will read with me. And, you know, 12 years later, I have met some incredible ladies. And I mean, it's not just about the book. I won't say, you know, some people like to just come for the fellowship sometimes, but
I'm laughing because I am a member of this book club.
We say upset book club. Are you saying person that just comes to? Okay, I'm not gonna
plead the fifth.
But no, so, you know, I believe when you find that common thread, and as you all mentioned, when you can let your guard down and be open to possibilities, you know, this whole no new friends as adults and all of that, you know, you close yourself off to, I mean, who knew, you know, that we all would become friends. You know, I had no idea that I would even enter a blogging space. I didn't know what that was. Thank you, Kim, for showing me possibilities around that. And so, you know, it's being open to that and allowing yourself to learn new things, to get to know new people along the way. And so I think that's what building community is for me. And that can be in your personal space or social space, as well as professional. Kim made a great point about networking. That's critical. Closing yourself off in professional spaces can be detrimental, you know. So yeah, that's what building community or community is for me, and how it started, you know, with sister cousins.
My community building started because I was an athlete. I played basketball. I was on the volleyball team, ran track. And that was the first sense of, outside of family, of community, you know, that I experienced. And you had to work together. And, you know, deal with situations where that, you know, sometimes weren't that great, but still figuring out how to move within that community. And then you fast forward when I became a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And that community just really opened my eyes to, you know, not, you meet people and you're kind of, you know, you don't really know how to navigate it, but you have to work together to figure that out. And you become friends and you become sisters. And then there's this bond, you know, that you have that goes beyond just, you know, a time period or, you know, a specific event. And having that community around me, you know, in college, I was just like, you know, these people can really be lifelong friends, and to be there to support. And I always say, you know, when you scientifically, there have been studies proving how we need our girlfriends. Mm-hmm. And you need them to check you. You need them to comfort you. You need them to, you know, call you out on the stuff that you need to be called out and cheer for you, congratulate you. And if you don't have that in your community, you are really, really, really lacking, because that's what it's all about. And that really gets us to live in our best life.
I love it. I love it. And, you know, you did reference a wonderful way to build community through Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. What you say? But you're absolutely right. And you know what, I'm just even in, you know, talking with you all, or like I said, stalking you all for the last 3 years or so. I think what I really like is that there's the connection that feeds the collaboration, that feeds the empowering. You even said it yourself, Desiree, like your blogging was inspired by Kim, right? Or she helped kind of, you know, you along that path.
Kim gets us all together, all of us, the whole community gets us all together. Like if you are feeling like if you are feeling down, Kim would be like, no, you are the bomb. I got this. Do you need this? I can't do it. Can you be here? Like she is really almost the glue in the Memphis blogging community. Like she just has embraced us all and really made me love it. Made me love the community, even when I'm like, you know what, I don't have time for this, you know. It was just, it's something about her. And I think every community needs that person.
Right, absolutely. And everybody plays their role, right? So that's what I like. Everybody has a role. You got that person that's the glue, you got the core, you got the person that, you know, maybe I need to go sleep on her couch, maybe she's the fun one, maybe she's the quiet one when I need to be quiet. Like everybody plays their role. Somebody's a strategist, somebody's the extra one. You know, everybody plays their role, but I love that about community. And I can just think about, you know, different communities that I'm in. And that's the other part when I said communities plural. It's not just one that you have to have, right? Because you can find the purpose in each, you know, each one can serve a purpose for those different categories that you all talked about earlier. So I love it. I love it. I love it. This has been so awesome so far. My very last, well, I got one more after this, but the last question I like to ask has nothing to do with leadership, has nothing to do with women, has nothing to do with lifestyle, community, kind of, sort of. But I like to play this or that. So we're going to play a little this or that, maybe about 4 rounds. I just want you to say whatever comes to mind right off. So here we go. Horseback riding or skydiving?
Horseback.
Horseback riding.
Horseback riding.
Okay, I was trying to see who's jumping out the plane with me. Nobody? Nobody?
Not yet. Not yet. Let me do indoor skydiving first, and I might jump out the plane.
Okay, I've done the skydiving, but I'll probably just watch y'all the next time. I'm gonna watch you cute when you go, because I
think I'm the adventurous one in the village.
Okay.
She is. Some things I don't have to experience that. I can learn from other people, and I see that is great. That is fun. Your adrenaline is going, but I ain't got to do it.
Right. All right, next up, we got filet mignon, or should I say this word correctly? No, I'm gonna go with the charcuterie board. Which one? Yeah. No, charcuterie board. Yeah,
charcuterie board all day.
Yes, all day. Well, actually, a cheese board for me now.
Okay.
We'll throw you some caviar and some shrimp on there, Desiree.
Look, I love all.
Don't say it like that. We'll throw it on there.
I love this dynamic. What about comedy or a drama?
Comedy.
Comedy. Laughing.
Because I'm a fool.
It's probably a comedy for me because laughing, I mean, like, how could you just not like to laugh? So it's comedy for me too.
All right, all right. And the last one, and I recently been stalking y'all page again. No, I've been following you, and I've seen this one show up a couple times. Are we doing vacation or staycation?
Vacation.
I want vacation. I want
vacation. Although I do appreciate a staycation.
A good staycation is but vacation.
Awesome. And I like playing this and that because it just allows us to see you, in different ways outside of what we've been talking about, some of those hard topics like leadership and, all the different roles that we have to fill in that way. So that was just fun, just kind of getting to know you all a little bit more that way. This has been beautiful. We are almost about to close out, but what is really important, because again, this is amplifying women's voice, but also creating those connecting and the collaborating and those empowering moments that I spoke to. And so while I can slide in your DM and maybe get a response now, I got one this time. I want our audience to be able to connect with you, or at least just be able to follow, support. Where can we support? How can we connect with you? Whatever you want to share beyond this moment.
Well, I am KP Fusion across all social media channels and also on my blog as well. You will most likely find me on Instagram for social. But if you want to go a little bit deeper beyond that, definitely go to my blog, because there are 11 years worth of content there. There are blogging tips on travel, style, beauty, makeup reviews, places to go in Memphis, because that's one of my favorite things to do, is to talk about our wonderful community that we have. This city is so cool. And I like to show the different sides and what it offers. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
Awesome.
I am according to Q on all fronts, but I am most active now on Instagram. I do have a blog, but I did take a pretty lengthy break. Kim, don't look at me like that. I took a pretty lengthy break.
I need you to check in the bio.
I have not done an actual blog post in a little while, but the blog is still very active. And for me, it is a lifestyle blog that promotes busy moms being their best self and knowing that style doesn't have to break the bank. You can be fabulous, even in your everyday life.
I have picked up some tips. I appreciate you, Q.
She's a rock star mom. She's a rock star nurse practitioner. She is so stylish. She is adventurous. She does so much, and she shares all of that across her social media channels and on her blog.
Now you see why she's the GOAT.
We're gonna be looking for that.
I'm about to go write a blog post right now.
That accountability y'all talking about. You don't mind calling each other out. I love it. And how can we get in touch with you, Desiree?
Mocha Divas on Instagram as well as Facebook. And my tagline is live your best life now, even before that song came out. Not waiting for a moment or a perfect moment to do anything, because there are no perfect moments. But as women, we need to take care of ourselves now. Start small if you need to. And it really focuses on lifestyle and wellness. So, yeah.
She also has some really great tips on there about HR, because she is just a HR like phenom and like on top of everything. You can Google her because she's out there. And so she has all of that great information on there as well. Like as you can tell, I love them, and I love
love you back.
I love what they put out. And so I'm always like, yes.
Our rep for the community.
Right.
Yes. She pushes us for sure.
Yes. For sure. Every community needs a Kim.
Mm-hmm. We looking for Kims. We looking for Kims in our life. But this has been absolutely beautiful. Audience, if you all were really in tune tonight, you walked away with some roadmaps And I think that's what's really important when I do this platform. Like, we're listening, oh yeah, everybody's sharing good information, but to be able to walk away with strategy, to be able to walk away with easy things that you can integrate tonight or tomorrow into your life to, continue down your path of just being your best self so that you can ultimately be the best and most effective female leader, right? That's what I really want. And I felt that tonight. I've got my hacks written down amongst other notes, because I always have my notebook pages. I've got my 2 pages. You all have been absolutely amazing. Audience, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I am, again, Christin Webb with the Greater You Leadership Series. You have been tuned in to the anniversary date of Women Leaders Walk and Talk. There will be more.
Awesome.
Stay tuned. I've got some other things coming up, but if you want to stay connected, please go to the Greater You Leadership Series. We're on Facebook. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Instagram.
You're on YouTube.
I'm on YouTube. Look, Kim. Come on, Kim. Look, we're on YouTube. We are really trying to make sure that we are branching out and bringing you great content so that you can continue just being the best version of yourself. And of course, the best version of being a leader. So as I always like to say, let's lead. Y'all have a great evening. Thank you all so much.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.